Oh, look who do we have here, guys? It's none other than one and only FleeceKing.
Oh yeah, hi.
Yeah, hi, and I am Brandon King. Yeah.
Woo!
So we are here today with FleeceKing or FleeceKing, alright, to do a discussion to talk about Pokemon Go and to check out each other's account to see what do we have on each other's account and see if we can show you guys something really amazing, alright. But to tell you guys the truth, this is not the first time we are recording this video, alright? This is our second time doing it. But Daniel and I, we have agreed that we're gonna be honest with you guys and tell you guys that this is our second time doing it, and we have already seen a bit of our stats and it wouldn't be as authentic as before. So
We got like 35 minutes into recording, and then somehow Brandon's camera stuffed up, and then he couldn't retrieve the data. So like we were contemplating, like, do we just shoot it again and not say anything? But I think for the sake of authenticity, we want to just be transparent about the fact that we're filming it again. So we were kind of joking about looking at each other's stats and pretending this is the first time that we saw it. But there are some things that we've already seen, but there's a lot of aspects we haven't actually covered yet. So.
But we will still try to be as authentic as we can. Alright, but hi to all of you guys. Alright. So yeah, FleeceKing, man, you know, I have a lot of things to actually talk to him about. In fact, I've talked to him about it already because, like I said, this is the second time
we're repeating some of it.
Repeating it again. But FleeceKing, the first time I actually met Daniel was back in the year 2019. But he corrected me. We actually met in the year 2017.
Yeah. So I went to the first Go Fest back at Chicago.
Correct.
And back then I didn't know anyone at all. Wasn't on Twitch. So it was completely authentic, just random
trip there.
First time there, so it was good.
So it was only in 2019 that I actually met him even more and had to have the time to spend with him. We actually went raiding together in the city in Chicago, and eventually in the year 2019 I actually made a trip to Sydney, Australia. We had really good fun over there raiding with our friends, including Andrew. Alright, and it was really good times raiding for Armored Mewtwo at that point in time, running from raids to raids. That was super duper fun, man, I must say.
The good old days of raiding in person.
Correct, without any remote raids at all. That was super duper fun. But how was your trip here in Singapore, man?
Amazing. I love Singapore. It's the first time here. The humidity is stupid, but other than that, it's a good time.
Alright, that's good. But anyway, you know, FleeceKing, for those of you who have actually watched him on Twitch, he has been streaming on Twitch for many years, especially during the pandemic. He averages around 16 to 20 hours of stream time per week. That's a lot of stream time, including the fact that you have to play Pokemon Go really hardcore. So for those of you who have not followed him on Twitch, go ahead to check out his Twitch channel, alright? Follow him and watch his stream. Look at how insane his gameplay is.
Thanks, man.
On a daily basis, alright? So without further ado, man, we're gonna check things out on our screens over here. We're gonna bring things up. Let's go to our profile. And yeah, you guys can see he has a shiny Munchlax over there, man. Really amazing. Also see the pose that he has. That is the Legend pose. FleeceKing has ever hit Legend League before, but I've not hit Legend, bro. I'm 8 points away for this season. Yeah, but I'm striving to go for that. So
I just wanted to hit Legend once. I'm not really a PvP sort of player, but at the time this was the first animated, like, exclusive PvP post. And I, as someone who really enjoyed Sword and Shield, I loved Leon's character. It's a shame we didn't get the cape to go with the outfit. True. I was like, I want to at least achieve it once, and you know, I did. So. Yeah.
So today we'll be talking about his account and also my account in terms of stats and Pokemon and whatever stuff, and including some interesting questions that I would like to ask him as a top grinder, top player in Australia and in the world also. But before that though, for those of you who did not know, so actually this is not FleeceKing's first account, this is actually his second account. You want to tell more about what happened to your first account?
Yeah, so I was a 2016 player. I jumped on the bandwagon of Pokemon Go back then, but I was not one of those people who played the original Pokemon series games, so I never played Ruby and Sapphire, you know, all those games. Even though Pokemon was a part of my childhood in the sense of the anime and all the Pokemon cards, I just never got around to playing the original Pokemon games. So when Pokemon Go came out, I mean, it was everywhere. I mean, even if you weren't into it, it was worldwide. It was so popular. And a lot of people that I knew were like, hey, you know, you're going to jump on this Pokemon Go thing. It's a lot of fun. I'm like, you know, I didn't really care, but I got convinced into it, had a lot of fun. And, you know how it was, running for Dragonites back in the day and all that sort of thing. And long story short, you know, you completed your Pokedex and there was nothing else to really do. There wasn't raids, there wasn't GBL, there wasn't shinies. So at the time, like when everybody started completing their Pokedex, there was this new thing that came out called spoofing, where you could get a Snorlax, you know, at home and all this stuff. And it was a new thing, like, whoa, you know, that's so cool. And I did that as well for like a couple of days, and I remember immediately regretting it because I just felt that I had like tarnished the legitimacy of my account. You know, and kind of just ruined, you know, those legitimate memories of, you know, running for those Pokemon at 2 o'clock in the morning and all the venturing out to complete my Pokedex. I just remember feeling really guilty and angry at myself for making that decision. But at the time, it was something that a lot of people did very loosely. So I ended up quitting the game because I was just mad at myself and there was nothing really else to do in the game at the time. So fast forward to this date.
Yeah, so you guys can see Fleece, he actually started playing the game on February 2017, right?
That's
this
right,
particular account, whereas I started in the year 2016, 6 months before him. So with that in mind, right, you know, Fleece, he has been playing non-stop every day on this account, which is technically your second account, but your first account you kind of scrapped it and deleted it already and didn't use it anymore.
Yep.
He has never ever spoofed on this account at all. So I have a few questions to ask you though, like what made you want to change from playing in that, you know, state, spoofing, to becoming a full-on legitimate player?
So, well, I mean, this is kind of the story here. Like, as I said, I quit. There was nothing really to do at the end of 2016 in Pokemon Go once you completed your Pokedex. So it was a combination of the game just becoming boring, very stale, to being angry at myself for making that decision, even though it was very brief. So yeah, fast forward now to 2017. We had one of the first events come out, Pokemon Go, which was a Valentine's Day event. Events back then just didn't really happen. I think this was one of the first.
That was Chansey, a lot of Chansey was
it was
right?
Chansey Pokemon, Pink Pokemon,
and
Porygon. Yeah, and Double Candy. And my brother, who was playing at the time, said to me, you know, why don't you get back into Pokemon Go and start playing this event? And I said to him what I'm telling you now, which was, you know, I don't play anymore, I'm angry at myself, I tarnished my account, I'm sort of done with the whole game. And he said, he made a suggestion that, like, without embellishing, like, changed my life, arguably, which was, why don't you just start a new account, you know? Like, why don't you just start on a clean slate, brand new account, and just start that Pokemon Go journey again? I'm like, you know what? Why not? Like, I got nothing to lose. So, yeah, I still have my first starter from starting again. And started experiencing the nostalgia of the 2016, the simplicity of just completing your Pokedex. No shinies, no hundos, no PvP, just trying to complete your Pokedex again. And little did we know, a week after this event came out, Gen 2 dropped. So we, you know, my brother and I got up at like 5 a.m. and seeing all the silhouettes all over the nearby.
And it was exciting.
Yeah, it started to experience that again. You know, and now, you know, all these years later, you know, streaming this game on Twitch is my full-time job. I've been doing that for nearly 2.5 years. I've traveled, you know, to two of the Go Fests in Chicago, Seattle this year. Now I'm in Singapore. You know, my mum plays, my brother plays. I've literally met thousands of people, and all my closest friends are through the game. So it's just crazy to think that, like, not only did I quit the game completely to now this being my job, my life, and everything. It's changed everything, physical and mental health. It's amazing. And I think it really, like, as shameful as that small part of it is for me, it's also become, like, as corny as it sounds, like a testimony in a way that, like, it also adds context, because a lot of people ask me, like, when did you become hardcore? And I would say since I started this account, because when I restarted all those months later, you know, I felt like I needed to catch up to everybody else who are, you know, level 30 plus. So, like, from the beginning, I would say, starting again, I was like, man, I got to catch up to everybody, you know, do those evolve sessions for Pidgey and Weedle and, you know, all that kind of thing. So I would say that the the hardcore part of me was really from the beginning of my account and just wanting to catch up to everybody else, level up as much as possible.
Yep, so like I was saying, you know, Fleece, because he was 6 months behind of people, he needed to catch up with other people, correct? So, I mean, for me, I've played this game for over 6 years really, but if you actually give me an account now to totally restart to play the game again, and assuming my this account, you know, gets removed all of a sudden, I will actually play way harder than what I'm playing right now. I used to average around 14 to 16 hours of playtime a day, but now, you know, with YouTube and everything, I average maybe around 8 hours a day. But if I have to restart and like work on new Pokemon, catch Pokemon for Stardust and raid more to get my hundos back again, I probably will play more and, you know, maybe average around 12 to 14 hours a day. So other than that though, since as a hardcore grinder himself and myself also, we're going to check out some of the stats that we would like to talk about and the things that we would like to focus on also. So a lot of people know you as a shiny hunter, correct? A hardcore shiny hunter. But what are the other things that you also focus on other than shinies?
Well, I would say, like, we kind of discussed this before, even before we filmed the first time. Like, I think shinies are really just a byproduct of playing a lot.
Correct.
So even though shinies are something, you know, I post a lot on Twitter, and you know, we all love shinies, right? Yep. Especially when something's new, we go out, we try to hunt for whatever the new shiny is.
Correct.
But I would say ultimately what I care about even more than shinies is really my numbers.
Yep.
I'm a numbers person.
Yep.
You know, I try to average 2,000 catches a day.
Yep. So we're going to see the catches, the collector.
Yeah, I try to average 2,000 catches a day, and you know, I keep myself accountable to a certain goal, and it just makes the game interesting because I think that we can all say there's so many events in this game that are very stale, very boring, very repetitive. But I think if you have your own personal goals to achieve, you know, on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, I even take a screenshot of January 1st every year at 12 a.m. and then compare them year by year.
A year later, how many catches you have gained in over a year? Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so like for me, like, yes, I love shinies, they're super fun, but they're really a byproduct of what I care about more, which is my numbers. So I'm trying to hit 2 million by the end of the year. This year, I don't have an end goal, I just know that what keeps me driven in this game, despite the events that can be fun or a little stale, is trying to get my numbers up as much as possible.
Okay, so you guys can see that I'm at 1,875,000, whereas Fleece, he's at 1,963,000. So he's almost 100,000 above me. Sorry.
80,000.
Well guys, we had to move out from that spot because the management of the hotel actually asked us to not do any filming there, so hence we have actually moved to another spot here. But we're going to continue. You guys can see that I'm at 1,875,000 Pokemon caught, whereas Fleece is at 1,963,000 Pokemon caught. So I'd just like to say that in the last 7 months, I've not been catching a lot of Pokemon. I would usually average around close to 1,200 to 1,500 Pokemon a day before the pandemic. But you know, after I started traveling with Princess, I could not actually catch as many Pokemon. Sometimes I'll average just around 400 or just 500 Pokemon a day. So back then, in the year 2016 and 2017, when I was still like playing really hard and catching Pokemon, other than you know, the fact that we can't also do any other activities because there's only Pokemon to catch, right? I would average around 1,500 to 1,800 Pokemon a day. But you know, it's over time that actually FleeceKing caught up to the numbers also. So how many catches are you actually doing per day right now, bro?
So I'm aiming for 2,000 catches a day. I think anything above that, it gets pretty, there's a lot of fatigue involved. I think that's kind of like the balance for me, where it's at a healthy point. I think anything above that for myself personally gets a little unhealthy. So like, I think 2,000 is a good number for me because it allows me to be able to spend time with family and pursue all of my other life responsibilities and stuff outside of the game at a healthy kind of pace. And we kind of talked about this before, but I think it's one of those things where if your only motivation in this game is shinies, at some point inevitably you're going to be disappointed.
Correct.
Because as we all know, I mean, there's plenty of times where we've gone out, we've caught hundreds of Pokemon, if not 1,000 plus Pokemon a day.
And we didn't even get the shiny.
And we get no shinies, you know, so I think that to try and have other goals within the game that you can keep yourself accountable to, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly, that isn't necessarily revolved around hundos or shinies, you can achieve those numbers regardless of how many shinies you get or don't get.
In fact, since now we're on the topic of shinies, rather, I'd like to ask you, which Pokemon did you actually grind really hard for, and eventually you did not even get the shiny off?
Well, a few come to mind. So believe it or not, before Machop Community Day, I think I was on like 4,000 or 5,000 encounters without a shiny Machop.
Yep.
In fact, when I went to the, yeah, I mean, we can have a look. Secret Shadow Shop. Yeah, so I think when Shiny Machop came out, it was during one of those like fighting events or something. I grinded so hard for it, didn't get it. And then I think later on, Machop was still a relatively new shiny, and when I went to Chicago 2019 Go Fest, there was a particular section at the end of the park where Machop was spawning, and I still didn't get it even then.
Oh my.
So that was one of the ones that took me a very, very long time. In fact, I think my first... I think the first or the second shiny Machop that I got, I ended up maxing it to level 40 at the time, just because it meant a lot to me.
Okay.
Natu was also one of the other ones. It took me like 3,000 or 4,000 to get my first shiny of that. I mean, there's still a lot of shinies I don't have and refuse to trade for, like Binnacle, even Elgium.
Okay.
That's the other one I didn't get either.
Okay.
So it's one of those things where, you know, a lot of people will just assume that I have every shiny.
Correct. So likewise, even for myself, you know, like a lot of people assume that both of us play so hard, we catch so many Pokemon, we have all the shinies in the game, right, bro? But that's not true. So for me, actually, the one that I grinded the hardest for was actually Darumaka. But you know, like what FleeceKing said, it's kind of a byproduct of us grinding so hard, because I actually grinded super duper insanely hard for Darumaka. I've caught like that. It's a crazy amount, and I've hatched so many, but I had to do around 3,300 Darumakas check in order to get my first shiny Darumaka.
Yeah, you have more than me. Wow.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
I'm trying to get the XL candy for that also. So we'll talk more about XL candy grind.
6,000 XL. It's insane.
Yeah. So that's the thing, man. Don't assume that, you know, we play so hard we actually get the shinies, especially when we post on social medias and in fact on YouTube that we actually get it. We actually get every single shiny, so that's not possible. All right.
But I've also said this before, just on another note, that if you had every single shiny in the game, it would just, the game wouldn't be as interesting. You know, I think it's very unhealthy expectation to expect every time a new shiny comes out that you're going to get it, because the reality is, like, what makes the game fun for me, like one of the biggest things is the collection aspect, you know, collecting your hundos, collecting your shinies. And I think if there was nothing to chase, you know, you would lose motivation, and that's why I think it's, my mindset is, when a new shiny comes out, I'll try my best.
Correct.
There's gonna be times that I don't get it. There's gonna be times that I get multiple.
Yep.
But whatever the result is, I know at some point down the line, everything gets recycled. Things come back.
Yes.
There's always events. So, you know, it's not the end of the world if you miss something. But back to the original point, I think that if you have goals other than shinies and hundos, like your numbers, whether it's XP, catches, whatever it is, it just means that you can achieve those in the midst of your grind, no matter what the results are for shinies and hundos.
So for Fleece, you know, he does 2,000 catches a day. That is actually not really close to the cap of catching Pokemon per day.
4,800 a day is the cap within a 24-hour period, which I've only done once, and I think it was during the Water Festival event this year. Remember when you had like the leaderboard on your friends list? So I hit the cap during that event, 4,800 Pokemon within a 24-hour period. So I think I was out of my house at 6 a.m. and hit the catch cap at around 11 o'clock at night. It required all day. It required like neglecting like normal things like hanging out with friends and family. Like, it was not a healthy and sustainable grind at all, but I wanted to achieve that.
Okay.
But yeah, 4,800. And what happens when you hit that number is every Pokemon will start running away.
Correct.
Even if you Golden Raz Ultra Ball a 10 CP
Pokemon, it will still run away.
I actually had a shiny Magikarp run away because I hit the catch cap and I didn't know at the time.
Oh, then it ran.
And like everything was running away, and I'm like, what happened? What happened to that shiny Magikarp? It's not in my recent.
Oh my god!
And I'm like, I'm
catch cap.
Yeah, I checked my journal and everything had run away.
Right. So back then in the year 2016, I think 2017, I used to hit the catch cap every day. So it was 1,200 for the catch cap, but now it has increased to 4,800 already. So hence, even back then there was even a cap for spinning Pokestops. Even now there's even cap for spinning Pokestops. So how was it like when for the cap to actually affect you as a player?
So yeah, for those who don't know, there's also a spin cap, which is 1,200 a day. I think you've got way more than me. 1.5, yeah. So you're quite ahead. So you're only allowed to spin 1,200 Pokestops within a 24-hour period, but it also works, there's like a rolling 24-hour period. So for example, you kind of set the precedent for what you could do tomorrow. So the best example I can give you is if I spin 50 Pokestops between 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., I should be able to spin that exact amount between those hours, 24 hours later. But what's happening recently is there's some inconsistency that a lot of hardcore players have reported where they go out at the exact same time to spin the exact same amount of Pokestops and they're getting the spin cap. So essentially what that looks like is you'll spin Pokestops and it just keeps saying try again later, even though you're stationary or you're not speed capped. Yeah. So it affects so many hardcore players, particularly the Japanese community over there. But I mean, a lot of players that I hear in the hardcore community have to end up buying Pokeballs.
Correct.
Which isn't cheap. It's like 800 coins for 200
coins
balls.
For 200 balls. So for me, you know, I've not hit the spin cap in a very long time. I used to hit spin cap every day, 1,200 Pokestop spun. But back in the year, fun fact for you guys, 2016 and up to the mid of 2017, we could spin up to 2,000 Pokestops per day. Alright, I was hitting the spin cap every day last time. I was catching maybe around average of, like I said, 1,500 to 1,800 Pokemon per day. But that is something that I've done long time ago and not now anymore. So what are the other caps that you try and focus on per day? Like for me, you know, I actually have 4 things that I focus on per day when it comes to hitting the cap. Not in terms of like just catching Pokemon or what, but the thing that I normally focus on is open gifts, send gifts, swap buddy, and mega your mon. So you can open a total of 100 gifts.
I wish.
Sorry, you can send a total of 100 gifts, including a total of 15 from your buddied Pokemon. That's a total of 115, but you can open a total of 20 gifts. And following up with megaing your Pokemon, you can actually mega your Pokemon once a day to do the interaction. And swap buddy, you can swap buddy 20 times. So for you, what do you focus on?
I'm pretty much the opposite to Brandon. I just hate sending gifts. And I hate doing buddies because I just feel like it's a lot of maintenance. Like there's a lot of maintenance mechanics in the game, like you know, swapping the buddy, playing with it, feeding it, you know, sending all your gifts. Like it's a lot, and I feel like those are things I do more so when I'm stationary. So like when I'm sitting down, that's when I'll tend to, you know, swap my buddy, send some gifts. But like when I'm out about on the grind, you know, I want to be focusing on catching, spinning, completing research tasks. So it's not really something that I do a whole lot of when I'm walking around. It's more so something that I'll do very rarely when I'm kind of sitting down. But everyone on my friends list knows how terrible I am with gifts. I'm just like, I wish there was just a send all. You know what I mean?
So if you check out some of the other medals that we would like to show you guys, it's actually the best buddy medal. I'm at 500, whereas Fleece is at 69. Very interesting number.
This was not planned, I swear.
We all know it's not planned. So that's the thing that I actually focus on as compared to Fleece, where he focused more on shinies and catches and whatsoever, and hence why his numbers for catches actually climbed up and even surpassed mine.
It's a lot of work. I respect anybody who's like doing, you know, like 10 buddies a day, even 5. Like the max I'll kind of work on a day is like 2 to 3 buddies. That's probably the max.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot of work.
So another thing that I actually do focus on is the other one, like I said, open gift and send gifts, right? So my idol medal is this. He has not seen this yet, alright? This is really authentic, alright? He has seen some of the other ones, like I said, because this is the second time we're shooting this video, alright?
I can't even find
it's here, the handshake.
Alright. Like for me, again, it's a lot of maintenance, working, you know, and then trying to coordinate with people, like when do you want to put an egg on, and you know, so many people are in different time zones, and a lot of people who genuinely care about ultra friends and best friends, you got to align it so your schedules kind of work. It's a lot of work. And for me personally, I would always rather have active raiders on my friends list who are reliable for either jumping in to help out with my invites or inviting me for a ton of raids, especially with content with streaming.
So hence you will actually still keep people whom you have hit best friends
with?
Oh
yeah. I've been lucky friends with some people for like 2 or 3 years, and I just keep them on because they're just reliable when it comes to sending raids and jumping into mine. So,
however, for me, my strategy is once we hit best friends, I'll actually remove my friend and wait 121
and he's removed me like 4 times.
Yeah, we have removed and re-add, and then we hit best friends again and removed and re-add and hit best friends again many times. So that's the thing that I actually focus on as compared to Fleece. But you know, everybody plays the game differently, alright? And what is the first thing that you actually do whenever you log into Pokemon Go?
Every morning? Okay, so for me, like when I wake up, the first thing I do when I log onto my game is I take a screenshot just of my stats. So I'll just boom, and I'll just take a screenshot. just so I have those numbers to compare that to the end of the day, because I want to track like what I'm doing throughout the day. So for example, if I go out and I stream and I'm playing whatever I'm doing, I always come home and make time for family. I spend time with them, have dinner. And if I see that I haven't hit my 2,000 catches for the day, I'll probably go out again at night, walk around and finish my 2,000, unless I'm like super fatigued or whatever. It's just a way of keeping myself accountable to something every day. And then it's kind of interesting to look back at the numbers like, oh, you know, I did like 1.5 million XP today. I had no idea, you know. But one thing I'll say is I don't actually check my stats throughout the day. So when I jump into a raid, I never look at my stats, because the uncertainty kind of motivates me. It's kind of it's a stupid example, but it's kind of like if you're at work and you keep looking at the clock, it feels like it's never going up. And it's like if I look at my stats,
no progress.
If I keep looking at my stats throughout the day, I'm like, man, is that all? You know what I mean? So like the uncertainty kind of motivates me a little bit.
That's true. So in a way, Fleece and I, we are similar in a sense that because every day once I wake up, the first thing that I also do is actually to put my lucky egg, alright, and incense on. And after that, I will also mega a Pokemon, which right now I'm using a Mega Slowbro. And then after that, I will also feed my buddy Pokemon, fight the rocket, and then take screenshots. So what screenshots do I actually take? Well, I'm going to show you guys over here. I took screenshots of my stats every day. Alright, stats that are important to me, I take screenshots of those, including the profile and whatsoever. So we are similar in that sense also. Alright guys, so some of the things that I actually take screenshot of includes even my egg hatches, etc. So for breeder wise...
80,000!
Oh! well guys,
this is the first time I'm seeing this number. We've done this before.
Yeah, we have done this before. Like I said, this is the second time we're shooting it.
80,000? It's the first time I'm seeing this number. Oh my god.
Alright.
No way.
The thing is, you know, my breeder is... my egg hatches is double of Fleece because I guess I do incubate more eggs than him. I spend maybe more money on incubators than him, because if you guys look at his jogger medal, the distance that he actually has walked 4,000 kilometers more than me. But clearly, you know, my breeder is actually higher than his, but clearly it's because more incubators were spent. 80,000!
It's the first time I'm seeing that.
Okay. But other than that though, we actually still do a lot of raids together. So these are the things that I do take photo of my stats, like champion and legendary badge, etc. So it's at 24,000. Oh my god, 24,000! My first time seeing it! Oh yeah, that was...
Everyone in the background is just looking at us.
So I'm at 18,000. So you know, how do you get so much? Why do you rate so much?
I just enjoy rating trash. I'll like over the course of many years, obviously, there's just always some fun and interesting stuff in the tier 1 and the tier 3 raids. Rockruff, Clink, Timber, you know, like all this stuff. And you know, back in the day as well, like the early 2017 raiding, you know, like trying to do all those solo, like fun raid challenges like Machamp, Arcanine, remember Arcanine with like golems, you know, or Bite and Stone Edge Tyranitar. So I always did like a lot of fun solo challenges, but also just in the recent years, especially with remote raiding, just all those boosted shinies and all that sort of stuff, the Rockruffs, the Clinks, all that sort of thing. So you never intentionally say I'm going to do 24,000 normal raids, it just gets accumulated over time.
Alright, so for me, why I have 18,000 is because I actually raid a lot of overseas Pokemon, tier 1 and tier 3, especially during the pandemic. During the pandemic, I think I would have done probably around 13 to 15,000 of these tier 1 and tier 3 raids. The reason for that is because Singapore is only 55 kilometers in length. So if we are at one end of Singapore to the other end of Singapore and we catch Pokemon and trade among each other, there is no guaranteed Candy XL when we do a trade, because in order to get a guaranteed Candy XL, we have to trade a Pokemon that is more than 100 kilometers away from each other. So hence, in order to help my friends like Auntie Gladys and my other friends to actually get guaranteed Candy XL for themselves, they will actually trade me their Swinub, their Beldum, their Bagon, or whatever Pokemon they want to get Candy XL of. I will trade them a tier 1 or tier 3 Pokemon that I do a remote raid of, and hence why I did so many of those trash raids with him also. Whenever he sends me Rockruff or whatever, I'll do all the Timber, and I'll trade to get guaranteed Candy XL for them. So that was what I was doing during that time, and hence why my numbers went up so much. So, but the next medal, the Battle Legend, is something
45!
that... Yeah, right? Before that, like I said, the first time that he saw this was the first time that he actually saw it, but I mean, he's at 40,000, but now it's the second time already, alright bro? Yeah, so why do so many legendary raids, man? Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed like the early days of like, you know, the raid days, all the local squad, you know.
Correct.
You know, I don't know if you remember this, but back in Australia we used to have like Instinct, Valor and Mystic groups, like, and everybody like, we're Mystics over here, and they'd all have their own separate groups, and you know, and even the raid days where people used to like go in their car and drive from raid to raid. So we did a lot of that back in the day, but I think it's pretty safe to say that for a lot of us, this number really ramped up once
the remote raids were available.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I mean, it really strengthened, like, obviously this is you know, it started Pokemon Go as an in-person only game, but really especially through the pandemic with remote raiding, it really strengthened the global community.
True.
And the online community, and we see a lot of people joining, you know, Discord groups, Telegram groups, you name it, to like, you know, get everybody together to do all these raids.
Especially people who are living in a remote area, so they actually get the chance to do a remote raids, especially for legendaries, etc., when they don't have the firepower to actually take down the raid boss by themselves. But out of this 40,000, roughly how much do you think you actually did non-remote?
Well over 10,000 at least. Yeah.
Okay, for me, I would say it's probably around 18 to 20,000 that I actually do the raids non-remote, because for me right now I've not been raiding so much. In fact, I even told Fleece yesterday that I average around 100 to roughly 200 raids a month right now, as compared to last time when I used to do roughly 2,000 to 3,000 raids a month. So I've actually changed so much in terms of raiding that in fact he was surprised when I showed him this yesterday, when I showed him the gas slot, right? See my account. So I told him that all my gas slots, they are all done without remote raids at all. Up to now, I do not have a Shundo gas slot, whereas he already has 2, and he has done over 400. Oh my god, 410 gas slots!
You genuinely scared me.
410 gas slots. That's 9 times more than me. Alright.
Oh my god.
So
the catch rate's terrible, because once I got like my XL candy, I was like, whatever.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, so that's that for the legendary raids. Alright, I'm so sorry for that. Alright, so anyway, there's one more thing that Daniel actually does every day also, right? You said that you actually hit the trade cap every day also?
I try to. I don't always get around to it, but like I'm very fortunate that my mum and brother play. What's my trade?
What, this number we
haven't seen.
This one we haven't seen.
Yeah, like very fortunate again that mum plays. Like we always just swap stuff back and forth. Like actually, like most mornings we'll meet up with my mum for coffee before she heads off to work, and I guess I head off to work to go to grind and stream. And we just, you know, we keep stuff for each other that we need. Right. I have like a folder. This really helps. Like if you make a folder for someone, you know, like one of your locals, I just call a folder mum, and I just will tag a bunch of stuff and favorite it that she wants. It's just super helpful, you know, because then you're just trading stuff to each other that you need. And very similar to Brandon, like I will try to keep a lot of the tier 1 and tier 3 raids that I caught from remote raiding, from stuff overseas, same as 7-kilometer egg stuff, and just save it so we can just get a bunch of XL candy. Correct.
So for me, I actually focus more on XL candy. So if I'm unable to trade for overseas guaranteed candy XL trades, I will actually maybe not even trade. I don't even trade cap for many of the days. But whereas you guys can see that Daniel, he actually definitely trades more than me.
Just the animation's too slow.
Correct.
Like if there was a way of skipping it, I'd be much more motivated. But I think it takes like roughly an hour to do these trades. Like you have to dedicate an hour each and every single day to trade capping, and I don't always do that, but I try to as much as I can.
So you guys should know that, you know, being in Sydney for him and being in Singapore for me, we have a lot of Pokestops to spin around our city. And in fact, having so many Pokestops allow us to actually do a lot of field research tasks. So I'm curious to see what's his field research task medal, and actually I've not seen it before, so let's go ahead and check it out. And it's at 163,000. That is very, very sick. In fact, I'm striving for 100,000 before the end of the year, but I don't think I can do so. So what do you like about the field research task? Which days do you actually like get a lot out of the field research task?
You know, like I think for me, like especially with the spin caps and all the spin limitations that we've talked about before, I think I just try to make the most of the Pokestops and the research tasks that I get from them as much as I possibly can. And I don't know, like I'm just a completionist, so if I find something that's really easy to do, or it's something that's within my capability of doing right now, I'd rather do it than chuck it out, you know what I mean? So like, you know, I do, like if I can align, like for example, 3 power up a Pokemon 5 times, for example.
Oh, you would do those too?
Yeah, like if I, like what I'll do is I'll usually keep a lot of 10 CP Pokemon, and then when I get like 2 or 3 of those tasks, I just find that 10 CP Pokemon, because that's the cheapest thing to power up, do it, and then I got 3 tasks done.
Why not power up a Pokemon that you actually want to power up to level 50?
I do that too, but I'm very picky when it comes to Stardust. You know me. I save as much Stardust as I possibly can, but I just, for something easy and cheap, I'll just power up a bunch of 10 CP stuff, or like another. Actually the cheapest thing that you can power up is a level 1, like a 10 CP Lucky Pokemon. That's the cheapest thing to power up. But yeah, I mean, the other option that I sometimes do is the other reason I don't always do that is because every time I get a hundo I'm really proud of, I basically just max it out straight away. I can't wait. So most of the time what I'll do is, if I can align tasks, I'll just find something that's super budget, super easy to power up, and I'll just do that.
Alright, now that we are talking about Stardust, let's go into our storage. Finally, we can actually go ahead to check out our storage. So a lot of people, you know, find that gaining Stardust is really, really tough, and you know, for us, we have actually grinded a lot for Stardust, and we've gained a lot of Stardust. You guys can see, like, Fleece, he has over 300 million Stardust. I didn't even know it's at 300 million, really. I thought he's still at 100 million something. Okay, that was really insane. But I'm at a miserable 6 million Stardust. So just a quick, curious question though, how much Stardust have you spent to power up your Pokemon?
A lot. I mean, a lot of people see this and like, you mustn't power anything up, but like,
oh yeah,
I have, yeah, like right now, I
roughly, think, no, rough estimate, right? How much Stardust have you spent on powering up your Pokemon?
50 million, I'd say.
That 50 million?
60 million? Yeah, I mean, I have so many things, like stupid things that I powered up to level 50, like a Meganium without Frenzy Plant, a Shadow Shiny Statler. I'm a firm believer of, like, when it comes to powering Pokemon up and also best budding Pokemon, it doesn't always have to be something that's meta relevant or a hundo. It should just be stuff that's sentimental to you and stuff that you like. So there's a lot of stuff here that I've powered up to level 40 or even level 50 that's not necessarily a hundo that I just like. You know, like, as I said, the Statler before, it's terrible IVs, it cost me like over 600,000 Stardust, but I just like it, you know? So, believe it or not, yeah, there's a lot of stuff I power up.
So roughly how many level 50 Pokemon have you roughly powered up?
Well, right now I have 114 Pokemon. I think there's a few things that I haven't marked in this folder, but right now, the things that I've marked in this folder, I have 114 level 50 Pokemon.
Just to let you guys know, Fleece has not seen my iPad, what I'm doing on my iPad now. 432 labeled level 50 Pokemon. I've not actually labeled all of them. I mean, he and I are kind of the same in the sense that we power up whatever Pokemon, whether is it a hundo or not. Some of them are not hundo. In fact, if I were to show you guys over here, exclamation 4-star, I still have 63 Pokemon that are not hundo. In fact, some of the ones that are like Shadow Pokemon, Shadow Honchkrow is a level 50, Venusaur, level 50 Honchkrow, level 50, you know, Warren, etc. So he said he spent 50 million Stardust, which I feel is not that a lot, because I thought he would have spent more, to be honest, bro. I thought he would have spent like 100 million. Yeah.
I mean, it could be more. That's just a guess, because obviously, as you can see, I'm pretty picky when it comes to stuff.
Because for me, I've spent a total of roughly 550 million Stardust. Yeah. What? 550 million Stardust. Hence why my Stardust is only at 6 million, bro.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, again, my estimate could be wrong. And the other thing we have to consider is PvP Pokemon. Like the amount of like Pokemon, like I'll get motivated by particular seasons of PvP, and you know, I'll start moving stuff.
So sorry, now that we are on the topic of the Stardust, right? Because if you account for the fact that you have roughly around 380 million Stardust in total that you have gained, roughly for me it's around 560 million. I guess I have more Stardust than you spent, or the extra 200 million. Is probably because of the egg hatches.
Yeah,
because
you have
a lot
significantly
of
more
star pieces. And maybe other events that, like Stardust events that I did play harder in the past. Yeah, so I do play really, really hard when it comes to like Stardust events. Alright, he wants to show the Giratina. I also have a Giratina Shundo, man. Alright, man, let's do an appraisal together, bro. Oh my god, that is sick, man.
Both forms. Yours is the better form, but this is an absolute monster in the Master League.
True. I mean,
that's crazy.
my god! Alright, so apart from Stardust though, like you know, grinding for different Pokemon is what he actually goes for, especially for shinies, etc. What is your most prized shiny Pokemon? Yeah. Like for me, bro, mine is easy. Mine is this. See, it's a CP10 PG. Yeah.
Let's see.
It's my most prized shiny. He has to look through his storage. Sorry. No, is this your most prized one? Look at that! What? You guys know what? Actually, I have also done that a few times. I've transferred like around 5 shiny PG, so it kind of doesn't hurt to do that. It's just that I thought he was going to show PG, but...
Okay, my most prized shiny Pokemon. I would say one of them is probably this one.
Oh.
And the reason, I should probably heal it. The reason why this one is so sentimental to me as well was, this was back at the end of 2021. This was the new shiny for the Christmas event, and it was in raids, and I really, really wanted a hundo of Galarian Darumaka for a very long time, to the point where I was doing lucky trades just for the normal form, because I really wanted a hundo. And I remember one of my Japanese friends invited me to this raid, and I saw the CP stop on the hundo. I'm like, yes, I got my hundo, and it was shiny, and it was my and that was my first shiny and first hundo in one go.
Okay.
And considering, I mean, this is just a really special one for me.
True, man. For me, why I actually like this Pokemon a lot, first of all, you guys should know PG is my Pokemon, my spirit Pokemon, but also the fact that it's actually level 1 and actually go plus this. So hence I actually, you know, have a lot of feeling towards this particular shiny Pokemon. Alright bro, so after checking out Fleece and my shiny Pokemon, now we will check out the most prized non-shiny Pokemon. So which is your most prized non-shiny Pokemon, bro?
If I had to pick one, I would say it would definitely be my Shadow Hundo Zapdos.
Okay.
This was from the global Go Fest back in 2020, where you could get all the legendary birds and Mewtwo from Giovanni with the minimal IVs of 10, 10, 10.
Okay.
I had absolutely no idea that this was a hundo at all.
Yeah.
And it's part of my collection of a team of 6 hundo Zapdos, one of them being that Shadow Hundo, one of them being a Shundo as well. And as a Team Instinct player, very proud of that. But if I had to, especially when it comes to nothing that's shiny, this is definitely my rarest and most prized possession in my collection.
Just a fun fact for you, bro. You know Auntie Gladys? Auntie Gladys also has a Hundo Shadow Zapdos.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she has one of that also.
That's amazing.
Right, so for me, it's actually this my Mew. My level 50 Mew that I actually maxed out. This was my first ever mythical Pokemon that I maxed out. So the reason why is because it was really, really hard to actually max out a mythical Pokemon. In fact, Daniel, are you working on any mythical Pokemon to actually max out also?
We talked about this off camera. So I got the 296 XL candy for Zarude, which took me months and months and months and months of walking it, getting rare XL candy from raids for the in-person ones, rare candy. And the reason why I haven't powered it up to level 50 is because the IVs aren't fantastic. I was prepared to do it because it was the only one that we had, but now with the introduction of Elite Raids with the Hooper Unbound, we may potentially see Zarude as a future Elite raid boss. So yeah, this was a huge grind for me, getting the 296 XL candy. But again, really happy I didn't power it up, because again, we may be seeing Zarude come. Yeah.
Correct. So you will get a better IV one. So the thing is, you have to TM away your fast move. You don't want to use mine.
I don't really use it.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So
there you go.
Yeah, great. So I have a very interesting question to ask you, bro. Would you rather power up a Shundo or a 98% useful Shadow Pokemon, such as a 98% Shadow Metagross?
I would say Metagross, the 98. Yeah.
The 98. So you would rather power up a Shadow 98 Metagross than
that's so good.
Than a Shundo of any Pokemon.
Oh, it's Shundo. I thought you just meant normal Hundo.
No, Shundo of any Pokemon. So 98 hard. Shadow or Shundo any Pokemon?
This is really a head or heart question, because my head will say the Shadow 98 because that's just got better practicality. It's going to do more damage. But my heart's like Shundo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty. would come down to a circumstantial situation, because there are some Shundos that are remarkable, like I just prefer the shiny to the regular version, but I would say the practical answer would be
the Shadow Knight.
Yeah, because even a bad IV Shadow in like most situations is always going to inflict more damage. Yeah. It's really a head or heart situation for me, but I've got nothing close to that.
So for me wise, clearly I will actually pump even a 30% Shadow Pokemon over a Shundo if I need to use that Pokemon as a raid attacker.
Yeah.
But if you ask me in terms of like YouTube content, etc., for aesthetic wise, yeah, I will do it for the Shundo once. But
this is my best one. It's a shiny.
Shiny. Yeah. This one is my best for shiny. Yeah. But you see, but you see, I mean, if this is a 96%, I would actually power up the 98% over the 96% also.
Right.
Even though it's Shadow shiny, you know. Yeah, so practical usage is more important than just aesthetic looks for even someone like him who actually chase shinies like crazy. Yeah, so that's quite interesting to know. So now I've also got another interesting question to ask you. What do you use your Rare Candy and Rare Candy XL on?
I'll show you the main thing.
Alright. What? Why?
Rayquaza is my favorite legendary, and I always like end up getting a lot of like rare candy from raids. I'm like, what do I put it in? What do I put it in? Like, whatever, I'll just put it in Rayquaza.
What?
So I have 130,000 Rayquaza candy.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
that's quite sick.
Yeah, I haven't level 50'd a Rayquaza ever because I really want a Shundo. I've actually done a total of 149 lucky trades for shiny Rayquaza over the course of like over 2 years.
Yep.
Bunch of 98s, bunch of 12, which is the minimal you can get from a lucky trade. Haven't gotten it, but it's a grind that's continuing slowly but surely.
Well, you don't have to worry about not having enough XL candies, because 131,000 candies will actually get you a 1,300 XL candies, which then you can power up almost 5 Rayquazas.
Yeah, and I've already got 600 too.
And you got 652. So for me, I'm actually putting my Rare Candies and Rare Candy XL into Hoopa. I'm still trying to max one up to level 50. I do not have enough XL candy for this, because I've already maxed one Celebi and also one Mew, but I'm working on another mythical Pokemon. But you know, Hoopa does come in elite rate, so hence why it helps out a bit that I save a bit of candies and Rare Candy XL to actually build this one up to level 50 also. Alright. A lot of people actually do say that the shiny rate in Pokemon Go is actually pretty low, and it's quite hard to get certain shinies or whatsoever. What do you think about it? Do you think the shiny rate is low to the extent that it's so hard to get certain shiny Pokemon or whatsoever?
I think that the problem is we don't have the luxury of knowing what certain Pokemon shiny rates are. So as we know, there's boosted shinies, there's full odd shinies, and when a lot of stuff comes out, we just don't really know ahead of time what those odds are. But again, it's one of those situations where, you know, like sometimes we think that a shiny is going to be boosted, like a 1 in 64 is kind of the rate for a particular shiny, and then it ends up being full odds. But as we know, like, just because you hit 64 checks doesn't mean you're guaranteed a shiny. That's not how probability works.
For me, my own personal take on this particular question, when people ask me if Niantic or the Pokemon Company should increase the shiny odds of shinies in Pokemon Go, my answer is I think it's very high already. Why so is because in the main series game, it's actually way harder to get a shiny Pokemon. In fact, if you talk about the current generation, it's 1 in 4,096 chance to actually get a shiny. Whereas in the older generation, it's actually 1 in 8,192 chance for it to happen. So with that in mind, you know, like even if it's 1 in 500 chance, which is technically the highest possible odds, or not highest, but basically the lowest possible odds to actually get a shiny here in Pokemon Go, right? It's still very high as compared to the main series game. Of course, a lot of people can argue with us and say, hey, but main series game, you know, you can get the shiny from home. You can just keep on resetting the game to try to get the shiny. And unlike Pokemon Go, where you have to go out and brave the sun and brave the rain and whatsoever, that's when it becomes more tiring. So now that we are talking about a topic about going out there to be in the open to brave the sun and brave the rain, how difficult is it for you as an individual, as a player, to actually go out there to brave the sun and brave the rain at times?
It's difficult because my content in terms of streaming is outdoor streaming. So like 99% of the time, all of my streams are walking around, out and about, you know, inviting people to raids, whatever it is.
When he actually says that, he's trying to say that there are actually streamers out there who actually does remote raids from home. There are even streamers who actually does PvP content at home.
Oh yeah, which is fine. I mean,
which
we're
is
all
fine.
doing something
We're
different.
totally cool with it, but it's just that you know, the way Fleece plays the game, he has to be out there, out in the open most of the time to actually do his streams. And what are the struggles?
And you know, like there's just a lot of things that you can't predict, like you know, rain, heat exhaustion, like you know, the sun, just ridiculous heats. You know, so like weather and being outside definitely will impact my gameplay and efficiency, because obviously if it's raining like heaps, that's going to affect the amount of walking I'm able to do, that's going to affect the amount of streaming I'm able to do, and a lot of things that I try to prepare for in advance is like I have like one of those umbrella hats to walk around and stream with.
He doesn't have that, that's why I showed him.
So I mean, when this is an outdoor game, there are things that are going to directly impact that. Yeah, weather is something I struggle with all the time. I mean, people hear me on my streams talk about the struggle of the rain or way too much sun and whatever it is. But just trying to be prepared for that, you know, putting on sunscreen, hydrating, umbrella, whatever it is. But
likewise for myself, man. I always tell my friends also to hydrate themselves and make sure they are well protected from the sun or the rain, prepare umbrella or whatsoever. So, but you know, you guys heard from Fleece that he actually did live stream. He does live stream on the go outside. And in fact, back in the year 2020, during the month of December, that's after the level 50 was released, right? You were the first person in the world to hit level 50, correct, right, bro?
Yes.
Yeah, so did you even know that I was actually on the stream?
You know what? No, I never saw your name pop up once.
Yeah, so I was actually on the stream. I actually congratulated you for hitting level 50 or so.
I think that was my record of viewership. I think we had 5,000 viewers at that time. So the chat was like just ridiculous.
Yeah, sorry, I'm one out of 5,000 who just congratulated him. Yep. But anyway, it was really, really great news when I actually heard from Anne and the rest that you actually hit level 50. I was super duper proud that
Thank you.
someone like FleeceKing, whom I know in person the year before, 2019, I met in person, actually hit level 50. If it's someone else whom I have not met in person, I think it wouldn't feel as special in a sense. Alright, some people actually did thought like, hey, you know, it should be Brandon Tan who will be hitting level 50 first, or it should be, you know, someone else who's like has more XP or whatsoever hitting level 50 first. To be very honest with you guys, having had the most XP or having a certain, the highest stats in the world, or in fact hitting level 50 first does not mean that you are actually the best player in the world, correct? No. We spoke about this yesterday, and in fact, you know, a lot of people deem that, you know, having the highest XP or having a certain thing in the game makes you the best player or whatsoever. So Daniel, he has his explanation as what would actually deem a person as being a best player. What you say to me yesterday, bro?
So for me personally, and this is not a negative thing to you or to me or to anybody else, but personally I just don't think there's such thing as the best player, because you know, just because somebody has the most XP, for example, that just means they're the best in the world for XP. That doesn't mean they're the best player overall.
Correct.
And just because somebody has the most catches in the world, that doesn't mean they're the best player overall. It just means they're the best at catching.
Correct.
So I think a lot of the hardcore community, in order to stay, you know, with huge numbers, like for us, we try to be well-rounded. You know, so we don't just raid, we don't just catch, we don't just focus on. Oh, I mean, you focus on XP more than anything else.
It's not that I focus on XP a lot now anymore. It's because it's just kind of a byproduct also of what I do, the activities like raiding, like catching Pokemon, etc., and including my idol medal, which is at 2,200, right? So hence that's just XP coming in, etc. But yeah, I mean, what Fleece said was really, really accurate in a sense that having the most amount of catches, having the most amount of XP, having the most amount of Pokemon maxed out to level 50 or what doesn't mean that you're the best player. All right.
It's really. I don't think we can really say that one person is the best. Correct. I mean, a lot of people have said to me, "You're the best player in the world. You hit level 50 first." I'm like,
likewise.
that's not true. Like, I mean, I've had some insane accomplishments, as have you, over the years of playing, but I don't think we're the best. I mean, he's a better player than me, no question. But like, we're top players, but I don't think there is the best player. I don't think. Would you agree with that? Or
yeah, I would totally agree with that because like a lot of people have also said to me that I'm the best player, world #1 player. In fact, Mystic7 actually labeled the title of the video that I did with him as world #1 player inside the account of world #1 player. Actually, if you guys watch my videos for so long already, have been watching it, I've never ever labeled myself as world #1 blah blah blah.
That's true.
Hence, I really kind of don't think that I am the world #1, but you can say that I am, great at playing the game. One of the best, one of the better ones, one of the top tier 1 percentiles. Likewise for Fleece, he probably would say that for himself, but if you say that he's the best player, I'm very sure he would disagree with that.
Yeah.
Likewise for myself too. Alright, you guys can say we are being humble, but we are just stating the truth.
I would like to say though that the reason why you are definitely one of the best as well, and a lot of people need to take this into consideration, is you're pursuing YouTube full time while maintaining these stats. I mean, if anyone has any idea how long it takes to film a video, brainstorm the ideas, edit for hours and hours on end, and still be able to make time for the community and to get the stats that you're getting. I mean, that's really a 1 in a million situation. It's very remarkable. So just for that alone, you are definitely one of the best. Absolutely.
Appreciate that comment, that compliment, but I still got a lot of things to work on. Alright, I still got a lot of things to
As do we all.
improve on. So that's that from FleeceKing. Now we are just going to tell you guys about us, like our personal goals, etc., like in-game goals and also real-life goals. So bro, I'd like to ask you, what goals do you have in the game?
I want to hit 2 billion XP probably sometime next year. For myself, I want to hit 2 million total catches by the end of the year.
You're close, you're close.
Yeah, but there's not really like an end game goal. I just know what it looks like on a daily basis. So it's just really to just keep maintaining, high XP, high Stardust count, and I would say from a collection perspective, my goal is to get like every single Pokemon as 100%. Like all the mythicals, all the legendaries, all the Ultra Beasts, and completing that living dex of Hundo, so like 1 Aron, 1 Lairon, 1 Aggron, like trying to complete all of that. And that's something that's going to take, many years to complete, trying to get every single Pokemon as perfect IV, which I like. I think that if you have too many short-term goals and you achieve them too quickly, the game can become stale and you get demotivated. Whereas if you have really long-term and ambitious goals, that's something that takes a long time to do. And a lot of cases, it does depend on other people, which brings the community involved. So for example, when my mum or my friends are missing a Hundo, I save that Pokemon to try and trade it to them. When it comes to remote raiding, when there's raid bosses that come out that I'm trying to get a Hundo for, people will send me raids, I'll try to reciprocate and do the same. So I think it's really healthy to have like long-term goals, so you're just always motivated and always on a grind to chase something.
True.
I think,
Correct. I can resonate with whatever that you have just said. But for me, my goals, if you talk about stats or whatever, I don't really have any goals for myself anymore. Back then in the past, before I hit 1 million Pokemon caught, I was striving for that.
Yeah.
And then eventually I hit 1 billion, 2 billion, and once I hit 3 billion, I told myself that is actually enough already.
Yeah,
but if you're talking about like currently what I'm still striving for, that is a small little goal. It's actually to hit 100,000 for my research. But once that's done, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. If you ask me for long-term, like super long-term, 2 years, 3 years kind of goals, I don't really have anything in mind as compared to before anymore.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about the community aspect of the game, that's still part of the game. My goal is actually to keep as many people in the game, excited for the game, and looking forward to the next events after events. So hence why my goal for next year, in the year 2023, is actually to go to every single Pokemon Go Safari Zone and in fact Go Fest, to just hang out with people and have a chance to play with people, and also for people to have a chance to play with me. And hopefully we can visit more communities to actually hang out with you guys and play Pokemon Go together. Most importantly in Pokemon Go is that community is, to us, one of the biggest aspect of the game. All this that we have actually acquired in the last 6 years, whether is it catching over 2 million Pokemon or getting 3 billion XP or what, these are not as important as hanging out with our friends and spending time together.
I mean, that's what's kept me motivated, because there's been times where I've been, as of you, demotivated with the game, decisions that have been made that we don't agree with, stale events. But what I think, like, as corny as it sounds, like the people is what keeps us together.
Correct.
And especially through COVID as well, we saw, as I mentioned before, the strengthening of the online community.
Correct, that is true.
And we sometimes for me, like, you kind of get desensitized to like so many likes and things on Twitch and YouTube channels, but like behind all of that is real people around the world.
Agreed.
And when we go to these in-person events, the Go Fest, the Safari Zones, and we meet people, and you know, we put a face to a name with like people in our YouTube channels, on our Twitch channels, and it's so overwhelming in such an incredible way, and just to hear that people are entertained by some of the stuff that we do, and getting to take photos with people, trade with people, it really
motivates us.
Yeah, it's so
we actually
motivating.
want to do more.
Yeah, to grow our communities, to connect with people, and yeah, I would say that like. You know, even the 2017 Go Fest, like on paper, you know, there was connectivity issues and all these things. But you know what? The memory that I have was just being able to meet like
people,
so many, hundreds of incredible people.
Correct.
Because as I said before, like I went to the 2017 Go Fest by myself. I didn't know anyone, wasn't doing Twitch or anything, and it was my first time in America. I was like so nervous, so scared, but I just took a leap of faith of like, let's experience a real life, like the first of its kind. You know, the first in-person Pokemon Go event, and like even though the connectivity issues happened and everyone was like, oh, it was a terrible Go Fest, like just the memory of meeting so many incredible people, like it's something I'll remember for the rest of my life. And even when we're not playing the game, even when things are up and down with the community and stuff, like you're just going to remember all the amazing people that we met over the years and years and years for the rest of our lives, honestly.
Yeah, that's very well said, man. I mean, even for me, it's because of the Singapore Pokemon Go Safari Zone that actually motivated me to actually meet more people. After meeting people even in overseas events, etc. But all I've got to say is that I've said this to my friends like Auntie Gladys and Anne many times, that if it's not because of the community, if it's not because of people like Fleece whom I meet in person in Sydney and play the game together, etc., or even people from all around the world, I would have quit Pokemon Go long ago. Yeah, Pokemon Go is kind of a primitive game still, to be very honest. Like as compared to the main series game, there are so many things that you can do, like even breeding, etc., and many more things that you can do, and even wonder trade or even global trade, etc. You can't do global trade here in Pokemon Go unless you spoof or unless you meet in person and do something really funny. But my point is, Pokemon Go is still rather primitive, but we hope that the game will last for many years to come, and hopefully we can meet more amazing people in the future to travel to wherever that we would like to. And yeah, hopefully that will happen, and hopefully you guys will have a chance to meet the both of us, especially FleeceKing. Alright, we have probably more interesting video ideas to look at in the future, especially when I head to Australia next year, so stay tuned for that. I will bro. Alright, but I'd like to thank you very much for this entire video.
Thank you.
Although we had to shoot it twice.
We literally, like, we were like 30 something minutes into the video, and then something happened with his camera and it didn't save the footage, and then we had to like take a massive like break and just like breathe, calm down. Then we got re-energized, re-motivated, came back to film it, and then the security guard where we were filming of like in charge of the complex kicked us out. Then we went to somewhere else and there was traffic noise, so it's been a struggle. But it's been an absolute pleasure to like hopefully get this all done and dusted. So. Yeah,
so hopefully with all that, we just hope that you give us a like on the video. It would be much appreciated. And also remember to...
follow me on Twitch.
Yep, follow him on Twitch.
Appreciate that. And something else.
And also that something else is to subscribe if you have not subscribed yet.
That's a thing on YouTube.
You forgot. Because for Twitch, is if you subscribe, it's actually paying money. But it's free, it's free to subscribe on YouTube, so go ahead.
It's literally free.
Alright.
And turn notifications on so you don't miss a video. Come on. Turn the notifications on for the bell.
He's more professional than me, man. Alright, but hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. If you guys did, do what we just said, and we'll see you guys in the next episode and the next video. Definitely Daniel and I, we have a lot of things in stock. We're super duper excited for it, but really thank you very much, bro.
Thank you so much.
And I'll catch you on the stream. Hopefully you catch me when I say hi or something and not miss me. I'm so sorry.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much everybody for watching and just listening to both of our perspectives, and I hope we get to do more collaborations like this in the near future.
Awesome,
thank you guys.
Alright, take care. I'll see you guys again in the next episode. So it's time to say goodbye. So goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.